And we're recording. Maybe I'll share the screen on the outline I put together. And it's a very generic outline so far. So. All right.
So where is this doc? Where I can get it from?
I just shared it with you.
Okay.
We'll make it shareable for everybody.
Okay. So should we take a look at minority weekly meeting? Let's take a look at this doc from Andrew.
Okay, hold up.
I like that you put like the goals, which is like we know the performance metrics, the staging, planning, Puma, because like we can then like think about organizing issues behind like these goals, and identify which issues are like attached for these weeks.
So,
do you have this doc from Andrew? Yes, you have. Okay.
yeah, it's open right here.
Yeah, so like we have this epic. So maybe epic
954.
Yes, this one. This seems like our central piece.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like also our date in the epic are quite out of date. I mean, not really that bad because it's like July 22nd.
Yeah.
So it's like basically end of 12.1. Okay, I think that like we have to go through what Andrew wrote. And
Okay, so if we're looking at Andrew's doc, the first issue that's covered here is 871. And you, in the comments, mentioned that this should probably be promoted to an epic. And this seems like the work to be done after we're done with all the development. And this is more of a tracking the work to roll it out to production, if I'm reading the issue correctly.
yes, because like I started this issue like as some like outline of like the stages that we have to go through, like that would allow us to enable that, and like what is like connected, because like let's say we enable that on the staging, but like we have to start measuring with Grafana these metrics and like start looking at them. So it's more like the, I don't know, proposal of the action plan, but I really look that like we're gonna have someone from the infrastructure team to take a look at that and comment on that extensively, extending this like action plan with like sub action points pretty much.
Right.
Because like there is like a lot of feeding around updating configuration, who has to do that, at what times, and things like that. And I think that we don't have these details, so we basically need like an attached infrastructure engineer, just attached to like finding and executing this part of the story, the Puma enablement on the infrastructure side. We had Jarv being mentioned. We also had like, what else we had on the GitLab memory? We also had John Jarvis, yes, Craig Miskell. I don't know this guy. I don't know. Craig, site reliability engineer, and Gary Lopez. So I would actually propose that like we like have this outline of this plan with like the attached items, which is like, because like enable Puma on GitHub, we could probably split that into like 5 different issues, which is like enable on staging and like start monitoring metrics, figure out what else metrics the infrastructure teams thinks that they miss, and work towards that. And really, I think we should go with like this outline of the plan, like the whole plan, including infrastructure part, to the Gary, and really ask him to like to provide us like with the right people.
Okay. So promote this into an epic, and then turn essentially all of these steps in the action plan into individual issues, so we can assign them out to the right folks and get them involved.
Because it seems that like we have to like create a ton of issues touching each of these items, and really start pre-assigning them to people, and filling the gaps, and like joining them into epics. And like I think that like we need the epic for like memory team and like monitor team, what else we miss, and quality team in terms of the testing, and we need separate epic for the infrastructure team as part of like enabling that on GitLab.com. Pretty much, because it seems like that we basically have this kind of split of responsibilities, which is like the major slice.
Do we need epics for each of the teams, or would the issues that come out of this one epic tracking, rolling it out to GitLab, be enough, and then the individual issues can be assigned to them, issues and milestones, right? So we make sure we're all on the same timeline. I'm afraid if we create epics for everyone, it just kind of, we have a proliferation of epics that are all tracking the same thing.
I have no idea.
Okay.
But I would assume that like shipping Puma as part of the product is one thing, and deploying Puma is another thing. Because technically we can close the epic sooner and assume that like the work is done, but the infrastructure team have their own cadence of deploying changes, and it's really up to them when they feel comfortable on doing that.
Right.
So I would say that like these timelines are kind of disconnected, even though like we should try to like align them.
Yeah, and the way I'm looking at these is this one is more of the deployment epic, 871, and then 950. Well, it's an issue right now. We'd have to promote into an epic, and then 954 is all about the development work that needs to be done to enable having Puma deployed out to GitLab.
Like development, testing, like measurement, like I think pre-measurement of like what the production team can expect when they deploy, and actual implementation. I think it's like on the infrastructure side, which is the issue that I created. I have no clue like how to split that. It seems like that this like split like of like having these two epics makes just simply sense, because like the second epic is not gonna be executed by us. Like we don't have access to the chef. We don't have access to all this like tooling, and we don't want to have this kind of access anyway.
Right.
So I would expect that they do actually like follow up on this epic and ask for what else they need.
Yeah. And I know we have a lot of names that we talked about from our meeting on Thursday. Who would be the right point person, like manager or person that can drive reaching out to the rest of them. Seems like they should own that, and I'm happy to reach out to them and say, hey, this is our plan. We need to get your teams involved. Probably not Andrew.
I think that I would really likely start with Gary, like Chan and Gary on the Chan from the enablement team and Gary from the infrastructure team.
Okay.
It's really up to them to allocate the people and resources to that. And they may say to us that they don't have time to deploy. They don't have people that could focus on the infrastructure team for another month. Like Gary might say that when it passes that. John is definitely helpful in helping there, but also John is on the delivery team, which is focusing on something very specific, and it's more like the global optimization allocation effort right now. But someone really needs to spend time on reading through that and filling the gaps from the infrastructure team.
Yeah, I think once we get our plan together in the next couple of days and have a good outline, or at least a rough draft of when we think we can get our development pieces done, so that they can start looking at the infrastructure pieces and know about the timelines, and I'll reach out to them and say, here's our plan. Does this work for you? And then we can talk about priority trade-offs at that point in time. Eric should be back at that point in time. And if their timeline doesn't meet with our needs, then they can start talking about trade-offs.
So about the correctness, we have this. Major points. I'm kind of getting somewhere out of the Andrew doc, just it seems we are due to way Ruby MI works, we are not affected by these offenses, but we should still figure out a way to make the So segregation of responsibilities, and I think this is the major part really, because it's actually
there's an outline of a test plan already.
so metrics. We are working right now on that because it seems that we have all the metrics. We only have to fix a bunch of bugs. So far, I don't see we need an additional metrics. We have to churn for the list that I started creating.
So we have the derailed benchmarks as part of metrics. Do we need to, I guess, bundle those all under an epic along with the tickets that you published this morning?
Derailed benchmark is really orthogonal to what we do, with Puma. uh, I think like these items that I posted, it's not really like a blocker for us deploying Puma,
Right.
but it gives us like a more confidence into what we see, because there's a bunch of the very small but annoying inconsistencies right now. But like it seems that like we should churn through that list of these small annoyances, like I don't know, in next 2 or 3 days, because they are very small to fix.
Yeah.
So we should really quickly close them. And then we are really like from our side, we are left with like maybe like looking at the ordering of the actions. Because like right now we are like focusing on metrics, on fixing them because we want to start testing.
Yep.
We are basically being blocked. Defaults really come at the last, and like with testing, there gonna be like a lot of testing happening because it's really like deeply connected. I'm kind of like working right now on more like the scenario. Is this actually the right issue? Yes, I'm actually working on this issue. I have to fill the details for this issue because I have a bunch of the Puma validation testing and then really like a load testing. But load testing is really like what is like quality performance tool doing. So we need to help them make this tool usable for Puma. And for free, we're gonna have like this Puma validation testing pretty much, because like we are extending the same test suite. And then really afterwards, it's figuring out the defaults. So this seems like the action plan from like memorial perspective right now mostly. But like we're gonna like be an octopus of like pulling more of the quality like in the next week. It seems that we have dedicated as like a quality engineer that should be working with us. So I hope that like we're gonna throw a ton of items on that person.
Yep.
I only have started creating these items while I like churn through these initial sets of the scenarios that I'm right now working on. Similarly to like to this metrics inconsistency.
Right.
And really like the other part that is really like unknown to me is like infrastructure part, which is basically I think the most of the interest from the Andrew point of view.
Yeah, and he hasn't spent any time on that document for a while. He's admittedly been distracted and working on other things, so that's where we'll get other folks involved. And I'll reach out to, how do you pronounce his name again? Guerrier?
Gary, yes.
Okay.
So as for the plan is communicated to the team.
Yeah, that's this document here. So stakeholders listed above.
And more focuses on basically Puma validation testing. Let's say that like in the next week, quality helps with Puma validation testing. I hope that it happens earlier. We enable Puma on the GitLab org.
Week one, so this week they should wrap up these tickets, right? All the ones that you published this morning.
So week of 4th, you consider like week of 4th of like starting from 1st to 5th, or like starting?
Yeah, maybe we should well, I did these on the team meeting dates, so we can change it to start of week instead of the team meeting dates. Fine, because the week of sorry.
So maybe like what we should do, like we should include this week, because this week like we
right
more focuses on the validation of metrics.
Yep.
Because this seems like Memory focus on drafting Puma enablement. Is it correct word?
Yes.
But because this is actually our focus, and I think that this is really part of that. Like we work on identifying these items right now.
Yep.
Like till the next meeting that we have on the 4th. Okay, identify work for Alexei and Chinyu. I think that this is right now happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm gonna like I would like them to continue working like side on these derate benchmarks, because it's gonna be easier for them and gonna feel like the blanks when they are waiting for some feedback. But I actually started asking them more help on these metrics validation. So I hope that like as soon as we create more issues about the testing itself, we're gonna pull them more also into like the testing of the Puma. It's kind of like previously I was thinking more that like let's go them through all these derate benchmarks. But to be fair, I just don't see like a lot of follow-ups for now there. I don't see like a ton of follow-ups there for keeping them occupied full time. And it feels to me that like we should like make them focus and help on Puma stuff.
Yeah, and as Jing you mentioned, and Alexei said the same thing in a one-on-one, having more than one thing to work on is helpful too. If they get stuck on one, then they can switch context to the other. So this will open up more work for them. So agreed.
Okay.
Probably get rid of that line. It's kind of generic.
How we can like include in this plan really like what is infrastructure team doing? How we can identify like what parts of the infrastructure work we have to do? Can we maybe work on trying to figure out as part of this infrastructure issue, the one like 871?
Yeah, I was looking at that.
How to make it more descriptive than it is now? What else we may be missing there?
I think it's going to require, sorry, breaking out the test plan a little more. So if we look at this one here, it's just an outline. There's not a whole lot there. So we'll have to also reach out to Grant and Tanya and ask them to get this a little more, well, a lot more fleshed out. And then during the timeline, right, there's, we want to get it, if I'm reading 871 in order, so we have enable Puma on staging, configure Grafana, enable it on Canary, and then if everything's okay, enable on GitLab. So have, how much time do we want between each of the environments? What testing results, what feedback do we want of each of them? How long is it going to take to roll out Grafana at each level, right? And gather the metrics. What metrics are they looking for?
I'm like writing some random questions because I think that this part of them, like at least first two, they should be answered by the infrastructure team.
Right.
I would expect that they like want to see like some details about like expected behavior of the Puma, how they can analyze the data that they see.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to learn from them exactly what is like the factor that would make them, yes, we can deploy Puma to GitLab.com. I would expect that there are like slightly less restrictive requirements for deploying to staging. But maybe they have some very specific requirements for that and that we don't know yet.
Yeah. Is there some kind of regression suite that like the quality team would want to run to make sure that we're not losing any functionality when we switch from Unicorn?
I don't think that we have anything like that. Like usually we basically test it on the people, like on the production. Uh, I mean, like we use staging, like for enabling that for ourselves and using that
Hmm.
internally, like to feel that. So I think that like we should really like enable Puma in GDK. It seems ready pretty much right now, and ask everyone to see that, because in these next 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, we could still like fix some bugs, and I hope that we don't find any major ones.
So we have that in 490, right? Enable Puma by default and roll that out.
So actually, I think that it could be a pre-requirement that even like allow us to even move forward. So it seems that like at least for the tweet safety, we validated that, and it seems it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Enable for dev envs GDK GC key as early as possible. So maybe this should be our goal for finishing this week. The more enables Puma on GC key and announces that, like basically till the next meeting. This should probably be our goal.
Yeah. It's in Yon. I think it was assigned to Yon last I saw. Yeah.
Yes, like he said that he's gonna create that.
Oh no, we were going to ask Alexi or Qingyu to pick up since it's fairly straightforward. And Yon had something that was equal or higher priority to work on.
Yeah, so we can split like the people responsible for that. I would wait for that till Monday and like ask him on the Monday, because he's out right now, if he can still like continue doing that or not. If not, like we're gonna ask someone to do it. It shouldn't be a big change for us to do.
Okay.
One thing about like this week of 4th of July, instead of this document, I would say issue, like I would move all of that into like issue, because then like we could have the checkboxes with linked items, and I think that we prefer basically to have the issue for this kind of like established things that everyone could see.
I'll move it out later on today. But it'll be out by the end of the day, like right after this. Now, I have a bunch of meetings this morning, but it'll be out by the end of the day. So on 490, I actually think maybe we should just ask Qingyu to see if he can pick it up, because it's pretty well defined. There's not a whole lot that needs to be done there, because he will have a full day of work before any of us even show up into the office because of the offset. So maybe we assign it to Qingyu, see if he can pick it up, and when we roll in Monday, see if it's done. And if it's not, then we can ask Qingyu and Alexi to pair up, or see if Jan can just crank it out real quick.
Yes, I mean the only I would say is the only trickiness part about that, like Genie is not working right now. It's Friday for him, so he's gonna read that message on his Monday morning, and it might be confusing for him. Exactly.
Well, actually, I pinged them earlier this week on seeing if either of them could pick it up, and I don't remember if they had any questions in the channel or not.
I didn't saw like any response, at least in context of that one. We can try. I'm not saying no,
Yeah.
but it seems to me that we can try. I'm like, if you think that this is okay, we could try.
Yeah. Worst case, he can't do it, and we're no worse off than we are. So I'm gonna assign him now. Okay. What does it, so we keep throwing out the term enable Puma. What does it take to actually enable Puma in any environment? Is
So
that well documented? Sorry, go ahead.
enabling Puma is quite easy. From the infrastructure team, it may require them to update their chef recipes and make it selective on what kind of environments that they enable that. So technically, when they enable that for the staging, they should already have like all the controls in place to enable that. And like then gradually enabling that on additional environments should be fairly easy. There is like very important aspect because I think that we need like we measure and try to identify required memory usage per Puma worker. It's actually, I think it's connected with these like defaults. We try to translate these memory. There is something like runbooks. Do you know runbooks that we have?
Yeah. Not that we have, but familiar with runbooks.
Okay, so this is something that we maybe like work closely with the infrastructure team.
Okay.
So I think that this is basically like very high level plan of what we do.
It seems, now that we talk about all the interdependencies, seems fairly optimistic because we don't, I'm assuming infrastructure and other stakeholders have their plans for the next month or so. So yeah, I'm concerned.
Yeah, so technically, I think that we should really like work quickly because we are still before the kickoff, and we could still change the plans right now for
Yes.
the next milestone.
Yeah.
We still have. I think like personally, I think that we have time till like this fourth or fifth end of the next week to affect their plans.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have to. I'll move next week's memory team meeting so it's not on a U.S. holiday, so that I can be there too, so we can talk about this and validate the plan, make sure everybody's on board, and then can reach out to infrastructure and other teams, make sure the testing folks are at our team meeting. I'll probably move it to Wednesday.
So I'm gonna send a note to Andrew. We work on outline of the Puma deployment plan. We gonna need a ton of help from. Okay, I sent a message. I shared this doc like directly with Andrew, and I hope that I'm gonna steal him for like at least 1 hour, maybe on Monday. So we could still go like with Andrew through that doc and like fill the gaps. And as soon as we go with the Andrew, I would really like escalate that to the people that may be interested. So I guess like engineering managers and product managers, that this is of the high priority, I think, enabling Puma.
Yep. Make sure Andrew's in our next week team meeting. The planning issue that I will create for this, should it be in our space or should it be in the our project or the GitLab.org project somewhere?
Maybe let's wait with this planning issue till like we talk with Andrew, because I'm gonna also ask him like where we could put this issue. I have no clue right now, to be fair. Like whether this should be like GitLab CE or like it's more like the organizational point.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, www.gitlab.com doesn't really feel right.
Well, maybe I'll start it in our space. It can always be moved. That way we can move it away from this doc, and it's open for others to view as well easily. So I was just going to put a placeholder up top so people can see that it's being moved to an actual issue rather than having to wait.
Sure, like it works for me. I think that it's good to start. Okay, Craig, I don't have really like anything else to add to this right now. I think that we basically need to like talk with more people. I'm gonna reach out at least to Andrew on Monday, and I'm gonna post you some like summary of like what Andrew said, and then we could really like I think spread that issue more to other people. Maybe we could even share that right now on our channel as like the press something, or like that we are working on that.
Yeah. Give me an hour or so to copy the doc contents into this issue, and then people can just start commenting on that rather than sharing the doc and then moving it over. So
okay, so like I am just leaving that in your hands. It's like my random idea.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll
your
get a
time.
link to the recording. Sure. Yeah. Thanks for your help on this. All right.